Guild Wars 2 PvP is really fun in my opinion, and as a new player, getting into it might be a bit challenging. So today I want to solve all the issues that you might have. Be sure to watch the whole video to understand everything that you need to know about PvP. So let's start with some general basics. PvP is actually playable from level 1. So you can create a character and just complete the tutorial mission, and then you can instantly go into PvP as long as you have a bought account and not a free-to-play account. How can you do that? You can just click this button, PvP, and then go into Enter Heart of the Mist or just complete in the gameplay. What are those buttons here? Until level 20, you can only use the left button, so the play button. That means you are queuing for unranked. As soon as you reach PvP rank level 20, you can also compete in ranked. So you use the real matchmaker with MMR and rating and that kind of stuff. Important part here is to level up your rank, you need to play either unranked or hot joins or custom arenas. Unranked is just pressing this button and you have some people queuing against you, either solo players like you or maybe a 5-person team. Everything can happen here. You can also go in hot join arena or custom arenas where you can get only people that join in there and you can maybe do some one-on-ones and that kind of stuff, or just compete against them. But typically to level your PvP rank, you have to play unranked. Depending on your win rate, you will need around 50 matches of unranked to get into the range of reaching level 20 here. And you can level indefinitely, you will get some nice reward tracks and stuff, we will get to that in the reward section. But typically PvP rank doesn't really matter, it's just a system to give you rewards, nothing important other than reaching level 20 to unlock ranked gameplay. When it comes to queuing, so looking for a match, you can either use unranked or compete in ranked. You can do that from every map in the game. However, if you map swap, you will leave the queue. So be aware of that. You can use waypoints on this map, but you can't queue when you swap around maps often because that will interrupt the queuing. You can of course also go to the PvP lobby, which is where I'm currently, Heart of the Mists. You don't have to be here, you can be here. There are nice vendors that are interacting with the stuff that is required for PvP, but other than that, this is not required, you don't have to be here. I previously told you that you only have to be level 1, and that is completely true, because you don't need any gear. Guild Wars 2 is completely fair PvP. You get everything unlocked if you want to. So, as you can see, with this character, the only 3 items that you have to have equipped are the chests, foot, and the leggings. Only those 3 should be equipped because they will provide passive bonus, but they don't need to be anything important. They don't need to be ascended or anything. Everyone gets the same thing. You can even purchase the white gear that you get from the vendors in the Heart of the Mist. You just have to equip them because otherwise you run around naked and that gets a penalty in stats. It doesn't matter which kind of gear you use, just that you know. And you can use all the vendors here. You can use buy weapons that you need. You can buy armor that you need. So all that is here. And it's selling white equipment because that's the only thing that you need. Because like I said, the stats are all even. So how can you then get your stats? You can get that by going here to this button and swapping around to PvP equipment. And you get only equipped the amulet, which gives you all your stats using relics, rune, and sigils and weapons that you need. All of them are here on this side. You don't need to purchase anything. You can just get it and use it. Some are locked behind some a thing, so you have to unlock them and buy something with it. But in the end, it doesn't matter. You don't need them. Most of them are unlocked already, and you probably run Berserk and that kind of stuff. So they are all unlocked already. If you want to know more about which builds you should run, you can of course check out my channel. There are a lot of meta builds as well. Be sure to subscribe for more build guides in the future as well. Now let's talk about the differences between unranked and ranked. So like I said, ranked will be unlocked after reaching level 20. And before that, you can only play unranked. In unranked, you have preferences selections like Conquest, Stronghold, or both modes. Conquest is the typical gameplay where you just have to hold nodes and capture them and get 500 points before the enemy team to win. Stronghold is more like a MOBA style where you have to kill the enemy lord and have some PvE interactions, some gate killing. So it's a little bit like World vs. World with a MOBA style gameplay. It's not very commonly played typically. Conquest is what everyone else plays. In unranked, you can queue up to 5 players. In ranked, you only can queue up 1 or 2 players. so that the matches are more fair. The ranked season typically lasts around 2 to 3 months. At the end, you will be able to get some titles depending on your rating and your rank. Typically, the ranked season is very competitive in the top end, but if you just want to have fun and get better at the game, you find enough people to play with. When ranked is currently not happening, so when the season ends at March 4, when I record this, then there will be 1, 2, maybe 3 weeks of off-season. And in the off-season, typically ranked, the Conquest, that is only playable here, will be replaced with 2v2, 3v3 or push game mode. So be sure to check out my guides in the future on those game modes. But typically you play Conquest ranked, where you have 3 nodes that you have to hold. More on that in the next section. There are multiple ways that you get rewards. One of them is by going for those rewards that you can see here. Those chests that you get passively by playing ranked. Only ranked. Unranked doesn't give you that. And in the end you might get a lot of rewards, Ascended Shards of Glory, a lot of gold, and just useful stuff. So you get some nice rewards as well from playing ranked. You will also get rewards from just playing the games, and if you win a match you get more silver than if you would lose a match, then you get some silver but not that much. That in the end will result in some extra money. Of course, the biggest thing is reward tracks. So reward tracks you will unlock just by playing the game, but also by just completing more reward tracks, and each of them gives you more gold. Be sure to check out my reward track guide if you want to see which of them are very lucrative. But you can also use the infinite feature and use infinite repeatable reward tracks forever and just grind them and get some more gold out of them. This is the biggest gold that you can get, and if you sell everything and know what you're doing, you can get actually a decent amount of gold just from playing PvP if you want to. Another way to get rewards is playing ATs, so tournaments. This is not playing ranked. This means you queue up as a 5-person team. This means you can fight very strategically, and there are multiple daily ATs. There are also monthly, weekly ATs, and also Tournament of Legends. That means where you can fight really, really high level players that are really skilled, and you can compete with them for really high-end prestigious items like novelties and of course titles. So this is the highest reward and prestigious items that you can get in PvP right now. So now let's talk about matchmaking. So matchmaking means in Guild Wars 2, when you play unranked and ranked, you have a hidden MMR where you will be placed just with people that are similar to your level. Guild Wars 2 uses the GW2 matchmaker, and the metric it uses during matchmaking includes the rating that you have, your current rank, your party size, your profession, your ladder position, and how much dishonor you have. All of that together will in the end result in which players you are matched with on your team and in the enemy team, of course. Guild Wars 2 currently has quite a low population in PvP, so queue times can be quite long, up to 10 minutes, I would say, depending on what time you play. Typically, if you're playing at prime time, it's more around 2 to 5 minutes, but if you play in the middle of night, then the queue times might be 10 minutes. There are also more features regarding the matchmaking, or just in general regarding how matches are created. So in hot joins and in custom arenas, you can have auto balance. So if there's one player leaving, then you might get the request to swap around teams. Not that important nowadays anymore. Dishonor happens if someone leaves. This guy will get dishonor in a ranked match. So if they left for more than a minute, they will get dishonored. This affects how, if they do it multiple times, they might get banned for it. If they just do it every now and then they'll get a penalty for not queuing again in the next minutes. So it's not that punishable in Guild Wars 2. This desertion has different follow-up things that happen. So if it is longer than a certain time period during a ranked match that some guy on your team leaves, you don't lose points or rating in this match for losing this match. So as a excuse that you couldn't change the outcome of the match because you were one player less. For the enemy team, this will affect how much rating they get. So if it's above a certain time that they fight, so to say, outnumbered, they are more people than you, then they will receive less points for that. It's because of the buy, so to say. However, if the time that someone comes back is too short, even if it's around 30 seconds, 1 minute, it might happen that you still lose points for the match, even though you fought the match for maybe 1 minute outnumbered, which might in the end result in a loss, even though the player came back. So that's bad luck. Now let's talk about some basics of Conquest. You typically play around the objectives, the node all the time. If you get pressured, you leave the nodes, but most of the time you're on the nodes or next to it, because each node, when you capture it, will tick. Each team needs 500 points to win. So as soon as the first team reaches 500, you will win the match. If an enemy player dies, you get 5 points rewarded for that. So it's not only important to get the nodes, it's also important to go for kills. It's important to understand that only one person is necessary to stand in a node to either cap it, or if the enemy team is also sending one person to the node, it's also only necessary to have one person in the node contested. So if there's one person of each team in there, it's contested and it will not tick in either direction. As soon as you get the maximum ticks on a node, then it is captured for your team and you get passively points on that. Then it has to get decapped by the enemy team to get it in a neutral state again, to not get any points to the enemy team. This is important because the decapping is faster than the capping. So typically you go, for example, a thief will just go decap and leave again, so that the enemy team will have less points income, so to say. This is the general idea of Conquest. Typically in ranked matches, also in ATs of course, you have various roles. So you have duelists, you have, which are the side noders, you have team fighters with supporters that are typically fighting in around bigger fights, and then you have the roamers, which are running around between the points more often than the other classes, just to create outnumbered situations and swing duel fights or swing team fights. If you want to know more about those roles and how they are played, be sure to check out the video in the top right hand corner. So Conquest has a lot of different maps. We have 16 maps in total in PvP. 8 of them are in the current ranked rotation, and not all of them are Conquest maps. However, typical Conquest maps always have 3 nodes, which are typically called far, close, and middle. And depending on where your spawn is, you call the close one close and the far one far, makes sense. And the middle one, the middle node. Other than that, it's really important that you know which maps have additional map objectives. Battle of Kylo has the trebuchet, which you should not use. It's just a troll if you do. Then Legacy of the Foefire has the Lord, which gives you 150 points if you kill it, but you have to get through to it via the gates destruction and of course killing the mobs there. Typically you do that only as a last resort if you reach 350 points, and that's the only way that you can win the match. It can be quite challenging and might throw the match because the nodes are ticking in the background. Forest of Niflhel, you have 2 NPCs that you can kill on the side nodes that each reward 25 points and give you a short duration small stat buff. And typically you can do that if you have time and no one is in vicinity of the enemy team to steal it, because the last hit will decide who gets it. So it's really important that you only do it if you know no one will steal it, or if you are desperate. Typically you only do it if you really know that someone is dead and they will respawn and you just have enough time to kill the beast, for example. Then we have Raid on the Capricorn map, where you have the bell in the middle that spawns periodically. It will reward points, 25 at the start. If you are the team that already got the previous bell, you might get 50 points, 75 points, 100 points. It goes up each time the team gets it. So that's really, really rewarding. So please go for it. It's a really important objective. Then we have Skyhammer. You have the Skyhammer there, which will just neutralize every single node and make it neutral. It will decap it, and it will also deal some heavy damage in the location, but you can dodge this. Then we have Temple of the Silent Storm, which is interesting because it has 2 side objectives. The upper buff, which will, when you capture it by interacting with it without getting interrupted by the enemy team, will give you twice the point gain for each node that you have. And the lower buff, which will instantly capture all nodes, doesn't matter if there's an enemy standing on it. So both buffs really, really strong. Then we have Eternal Colosseum, where you have the sword buff, which will give you some major damage buff for the next minute or so. And it will stomp any players. And you have the shield buff, which is the opposing buff, that will give you a nice damage reduction and will resurrect you one time when you die. And lastly, we have Jin's Dominion, where you get the Jin Slam buff, which is not that strong, but it's a nice buff that can swing a fight if you place it correctly, because it deals some nice pressure on the enemy team. All the other maps are either not in ranked Conquest or are just deathmatch maps where you don't have any special objectives. Typically, I can just tell you that PvP is very easy to get into, because everything that I just told you is everything that you need to know. And Other than that, you just have to learn it by doing it and having fun playing PvP. It's a really nice game mode, so just try it out for yourself, try different builds. Now you should be ready to jump into Guild Wars 2 PvP without any issue. If you now want to know how to become a better player in Guild Wars 2 PvP and achieve the highest rating, be sure to check out this video. In any case, I hope you enjoyed this quick guide. If you did, why not leave a like and subscribe for more content such as this. And if you have any further questions, please let me know in the comments. Thanks for watching, and thanks to my Patreon, YouTube and Twitch supporters. Thanks Timo, thanks Malis, and I hope to see you all in my next video. Until then, have fun in the mists.